Welcome to MacroCode. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. So today we are going to proceed with our Blazor series. So we have actually categorized our app into academics. So we have the students, parents, teachers, and subjects. Then we also have a library where we have books. Then we have a system administration where we have the country, system codes, and the system code details. So today we are going to add another sub-module for departments. So we are going to categorize our departments. So in our previous video, we created a model about department. Then we have the ID, code, name. Then we are inheriting some properties from this class. So the created by and the created on. So we also added this to our application, that is the database. So we have it on our application DB context. So if we just check on our application DB context, we have our departments at table there. So the only thing that was pending was for us to create pages to actually add some of these data. So to do that, I'm going to create a folder. Then we are going to create a folder for, should be a folder. So I'm going to create a folder, then name it departments. So for the departments, then you are going to create another Blazor component called departments list. So I'm going to create departments list. Then we press enter. Then you are going to create another Blazor component for add department. So just add department. Then you are going to create another for editor. So we say edit department, edit department. Then that is it. So for the departments list, we can borrow the one for details from the books Blazor list. Then we add it on our departments. Then here we'll say department list. Then we'll say add new department. Then we can say this can be department, our root. Then the list will be department list. Then on our collection, we'll call these all departments. So these will be all departments. Then we'll have here departments. Then here will be our department, and this is department. Then this is can give it the name. Then on initializing, we can load all departments. Then we'll just load this here. Then we can actually comment this, then we'll come back on it. Then for the collection, we'll just now loop through. So we'll be looping through departments. These departments, then the departments. Then you can also, so here we'll be now having the, so how is our model for the departments? So we have the ID, code, and the name. So for the list, we'll now display, for the departments, we'll now display the department code, then department name, then we can have created by here, created by, then you can have created on. Then we can now look through our departments. Then we'll say the department. Then for the department, now we'll have our ID, the name, we have the code. So here is code, then here is name. Then here we'll have created by. Then you can have created on. Then after that, this will be, so we can have this as department. Then this will be our department.id. Then here will be our departments list doesn't exist. So departments list doesn't exist. So after that, we now have to add. So I'm going to copy what we had on our book. Then you paste it on our department, add department component. Then our root will be add department. Then here we'll say add new department. Then down here we'll say this is a department. Then this is department object. Then here we are not expecting any collection for now, so we'll remove this. Then here we'll say create department. Then our department, after creating, should take us to the departments list. So this is our navigation. Then this will be our method here, create department. Then our object will be department object. So I'm going to have that there. Then you'll say here add department. Then we'll have department code as our first entry. Then we'll also bind this. You can say code. Then you can say here code. Then this is code. So this is code. Then you can also do department name. Then we'll say this is a name. Then here you can do that. You can say this is name and this is name. Then for then I think that is the only two fields we are capturing. The other, the created by and the created on, should be created by the system. So we'll say here department. Then once we do that, I want us to, so you can comment this. So the next thing that we need to do is our edit. So is our edit. So I'll just copy the same thing. So I'll just copy that, then have it on our department, edit department component. Then I'm going to say this is so I can say this is department. Then this is department object. Then I can have the ID. Then we don't have any collection. Then on initializing, we should only load the department. So before you edit, you need to get the details of that department. So we'll do here update department. Then we need to do, then this list will be department list. So the next thing that I want us to do is I want us to take what we had binded here and just update it on our this one. So I'll just do that, then replace this. Then our department, update departments method. So this should be that way. So I'll comment this and also this. So update department should now go to here. Then our object will be department object and should be here. Then here we'll say update department. Then here will be update department details. So since we are done with that, then here also the root will be department. Since we are done with that, we need to now create our repository pattern. Our repository, so I'll just create an interface, new class. Then I'm going to say department repository. Press enter. Then I'm going to reuse the one for, so let me choose the one for the country. Then I can copy this. For the department, I can have it here. Then I just change my models to be departments. here, this is department, this is department, this is department. Update this to department, also this one. So after that, I can now create the implementation service for this. So I'll just create here the service. Can do that. Then this will be department repository. Then I can copy the one for the country because it is what we have just borrowed. So here I'll copy this. So then we'll just change some few items. So for the department, I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to say here we are implementing iDepartment repository. Then this is department repository. Then here now we'll be using department. So this is department. This is department. Then here we'll call departments. Then this will be data. This is also data. Then just do data. Then here delete. We do that. Then departments. Then this is first or default. Then this is departments. This will be first or default async. Then the next thing is here we have department. Then we get the departments list. And this should be data. Can just say data. Then we also get by department by an ID. So you can do departments first or default. Then you can say data. Here should be data. Then you can have here as data. Then update also, you can update a department. So we'll say here data. This is departments. Then we can say data. So we return data. So I think our service is now created. So the next thing that I want us to do is we need to register that service. So I'm going to have it on our program.cs. Then I'm going to say I department repository. Then we have to indicate our service. Then after that, come to our import razor. Then I want us to have to inject our service here. Then we'll just say I department. Then we'll call this department service. So since we have this department service, let's go back to our pages for the add department. So on the departments list, we are going to now use the department service to get the list. Then also this one. So all the list, we load it to our departments page. So that is sorted. We go to our add department. We also use it to load the departments. So we just add, and so this should be department object. Yes, so this should be this way. So then we need to use this now, is what we need to supply here. And here we need to do this get set. So then when we add that, it navigates us to the departments list. Then for the edit as well, we need to use our department object, and we need to get an ID. We should get the department by the ID that we've supplied here. Then also when you're updating, we need to use the department service to update, and you pass the updated object here. Then once that is solved, then we get this list. But not something that we missed out on our department service. We need, when creating the model, when adding data, we need to pass the created by. So we'll say this is, for now, you can say macro code, but we'll be doing these two sessions. Then we can do created on. So created on, we can have it at date time dot now. So since that is fine, the next thing is to add our link to the navigation. So come to the nav menu. Then this is departments. So we are going to add it under academics. So I'm going to add departments here. Then I'll call these departments, department list, and I believe that is it. So these departments. So let me just confirm for the departments list, what is the root? So check at the top is department list, and that should be what it is here. Then on the list, we should have the navigation link to add department, and should be the same root on the add department. So then on the edit, it should be edit. So this should be save department when saving, and also when adding should be save department. On the edit, it should be navigation should be department edited past the department ID, which is the same thing here, department edited past the department ID. So if we just launch this application, we should be able to create a department. Then we should be able to see if there is anything that we missed out. So let's just check how that is going. So if you are new to this channel, consider subscribing, like the video, and comment down below. So let's launch our app and see. So that is it. So that is how our app looks like. We've tried to borrow the Blazor colors, and we have updated on our application. So if we just come to academics, you see there is now our link for departments. So if I click on it, it should take us to the departments list. But now we don't have a department. So what we need to do is to create a department. You can see if I just launch a department, there is something that went wrong. So let's just go to edit to add department. So on our add department, we should confirm our model. So department object should be equal to this. Let me just confirm anything. Yeah, we should actually instantiate. So we missed that. So our department object should be equal to that. Then that should be equal to this, and we should be good to go. Add department, create department, and this is the object. So let's launch our app again and see what happens. So if you are new to this channel, consider subscribing. We'll be building this application until we complete. So for those who are following, so this is our app. So if we go to academics, then departments, I'm going to add, so this is the list. So if I click add, I'm going to say this is finance department. So I can call this finance department. Then I can save. So if I click save, you can see our department is saved. We have the created by and created on, and then department name. Then I can add another one. I call it HR. Can call it human resource. Then I can save it. I can also add another one called academics. Then I can also add that. Then I can add another one called student affairs. So this is a code, so I can call it affairs. Then if I save it, you can see now our departments are being saved. So I can be able to edit. So if I click edit, yeah, on our edit, we have two buttons. We need to remove one. So let's go to edit department. Yeah, we have this and that. So we do that. So if we try to launch our app and see, so we've added the departments. Now there are some things that we can now, instead of creating tables, we can reuse our system codes. So I want us to create some items. So let's see. So this is departments. So if we just go there, we can edit. We say HR, or you can say this human resource. If we save it, we should be able to edit, as you can see here. So we now have our departments in our application. So our application is now growing big. So you see we have the library module where we are able to save books. But now we need to have some items here. When we add a book, we are able to add a book, a new, so you can say new subscriber as a book. Then you can say author is microcode, and the number of copies is 56. Then you can be able to select the category. So if we save it, we are able to get the new book. But now I want us to now try to improve this application. So assuming you are in a library and you now need to issue a book to, so we need to issue a book to a student. But for us to issue a book to a student, we need to have the issue date, return date. So I want us to create another model. So the application is now becoming interesting. So let's create a model to track all the activities of issuance to students. So you can say books. So you can say book issuance. So book issuance. So that is our class. Then I'm going to say this is public. Then I'm going to say here public int, then my ID. So then this is our primary key. So the next thing that I want us to have is our date time. So date time, and I want us to be this to be issuer issue date. So you can say issue date. Then I want also another date for return date. So return date, when the students should return the book, return date. So this should be return date. So then another thing is we should be able to indicate the class where the student is. So either it's class 1, 2, 3. So for that one, I'm going to have an int, should be a foreign key here. Then you can say class ID. So our class ID, we can actually capture our classes in our system code detail. So I'll just have my system code. Then I say class. So that is a foreign key from this table. Then another thing is we need to capture the student who has borrowed the book. So we can capture the student here. So I'll just say student ID. Then where are we getting the students? So we are getting the students from our student table. Then we'll say this is student. Then the next thing that we need to capture is the book, the book that is being borrowed. So we have a list of our books. So this will be book ID. Then here we'll have the book model. This is a foreign key from our book table. So we'll just indicate that way. Then you can actually now capture the notes. So you can have the librarian capture the notes. So you can, so this will be string. So I'll just have it as string. Then I'll say this is a notes. So once we are done with that, I want us also to capture the activity. So we'll just do user activity, who created and when was it issued. So the user activity here. So the next thing is to create now our add this to our application DB context. So I'm going to add that to our application DB context here. So I'll just do this as book issuance. Then I can say this is book issuance history. So I can have that as my table name. Then I can, the next thing is to add migration. So let's add migrations to our table. So I'm going to add migrations. So I'll just say add migration, then say book issuance, press enter. Then if our migration is created fine, then we should be in a good position to update the database and now proceed with the other options. So let's see if everything goes well. So let's wait and see. So for those who are new to this channel, consider subscribing. So our migration file has been created. So you can now do update database. So press enter. Then we are able to update that to our database. So we'll have our table now. So you can see that is how our table has been created. These are the statements. So after that, we are now in a good position to create our module for issuing books to students. So I'm going to create a folder called books issuance. So I'm going to create a folder called books issuance. Then we need to create a Blazor component for getting a list of books that has been issued so far. So we'll just say books issuance list. So create a Blazor component. Then I'm going to borrow the list page from the parents. Then I'm going to add it here. So here we are going to have, so we'll say this is books issuance history. Then I'm going to have add new issue new, we'll call this issue new book. Then this should be add issuance. So you can say add new issuance. So after that, our list should be from the book issuance. Then we'll say all books issuance. So this should be history. Then on initialization, it should load all the books issuance history. So we'll just say load all the books issuance history, and this will be our method. Then for now, because we don't have the service, I'm going to comment this because we'll be able to create that later. So then edit. So we need to edit. So we don't need this here. We also don't need this here. So let's just load. Then when we load, we need now to loop. So we'll say we want all the books issuance history. Then we load it here. Then we now going to load. So we'll say issue date, then return date. Then we want the class name. Then we want the student name who has taken the book, and we also want the book name. So only those. So if we loop here through our issuance, so we'll say issue. So this issue, we need to have a primary key. Then we need to have our issue date. We also need to have our return date. We also need to have our class. So for that, we'll do class, then name or description. Then we also do another student. But here now we'll do student, then full name. So for us to get the full name of the student, then you also do a book, then the name of the book. Then after that, that's it. Then for us to edit, we can now do edit. Then so this we can do that. So we now have our page to view all the issuance history. Then here we can say issuance history. So this is our list. So let's add another Blazor component to add now these issuance details to our table. So we'll say add new book issuance. So if we do that, I'm going to copy the Blazor component for add parents. Then I'll just paste it there. So here I will say add new book issuance details. Then just at the bottom here again, I'm going to have, this will be our book issuance model. Then we'll say issuance object. Then we are going to, for our model, we have the class. Our class is from this system called detail, and also we need books. So we'll have here books. So for us to select, we need to define this collection, and also we need the students. So we need class, student, and the book. So here, for the class, we need to append it on just adding, we need to pre-populate the class, and you can say class. Then the books, we actually need the books, and we should get the book service. We should use the book service. Then get all, and it will give us all the books. Then for the students, we also need all the students. So after that, we have here to create. So this is create issuance. So then we need now to define our form. So the first thing that we need to do is, let me just take our model here, issuance object. So we need to add it here. Then you say this is create issuance. Then, so this should be issuance. Then this is add book issuance. So then we need to have the issue date. So we'll just, that is our first date. Then we need to now have bind it to issue date. Then this is issue date. Then we should now take this here. Then here we should say input date. So the same thing we should have with return. So return date. Then we now have so this is our issuance object. Then we have return date here. So we'll say return date. Then you can say here return date. Then return date will be this one, and our input here will be input date. So after the input date, we need now to select. So I'm going to remove all this. I want the next options is to select. So we need to have a drop-down list for the class. So the next field here is class. So then I'm going to have these here. I'm also going to have, so this one will say class ID. Then this will be select class. Then here we'll say this is class ID. Then after that, I'm saying here will be class ID. Then this is class. So we'll do that. Then here will be class, and here we can say item. Then we'll want to display take the ID but display the description of that class. So I think that should be fine. The next thing is student. The student, I think we have it. So this will be fine. The other thing will be the book. So here we'll say the books, or say book type. That's fine. So here, instead of now saying this, we'll just replace here now with the issuance object, and that should be okay. Here we'll do the issuance object, then we'll actually take now our book ID, and this is what we need to save here. Then here select book type. Then this is books. So that is books. Then here issuance should be issuance, then book ID. So then the other thing will be notes. So here we now have the input text. Then here we'll say notes. These are the notes for the librarian. So for the book here, we have to have it as name. Then our issuance object. Then these will be notes. So then we have it here. Then you say this is notes. So if that is notes, then we need to save the issuance history. So just save the issuance history. Then we have an error at the top. Let's see what is it. Yeah. So let's see if we close that. We need to, I don't know if that is the issue. Yes. So we've closed that. So the next thing is for us to, so let's comment this. So we now have the edit or the add option. I want us to add the razor component to edit. So let's just add another one. Then say edit book issuance. So if we do that, we'll need to copy. So I'm going to copy again for the parent. Then edit book issuance. I'm going to paste it there. Then for this row here, I'm going to take what we have on the add book issuance from here. So I'm going to copy this and replace it here so that we go fast. It's actually using the same thing. So then the only thing that we need to change is to have our object as book. Then here we say book issuance. Then we have our ID. So this one also we will say class. Then we have these as students. Then we have a book. So we'll say books. Then here will be books. So this should be book, not books. Then here we also have a book. Then we can actually borrow what we have under add. So we'll just do this, copy that, come to edit, then you have it here. So, sorry, let me just undo. So we need this here. So for the object here, we need to comment this. I'll show you why we need that. Then we'll say update book issuance. Then comment this. Then here our list, what is our list root? So it is actually issuance history list. So we need to append it on our edit here, should be that. And also on our add. When we add, should take us to the book issuance list. So for the edit options, we've now added all our options, but let's see, ensure we have these updated correctly at the top here, and also our on valid. We need our methods for updating. So on valid submit, then update book issuance here. So after that, we need now to create our repository for updating the books. So let's create our repository here. So I'll just do that. Then I just create an interface. Then I'll say books issuance repository. So after I've created that, I can borrow the parent. Interface methods. Then I'll just do that. Then here I'll now have my book issuance. Should be issuance. So my book issuance, I'll add it here. Then this is my book issuance. Do the same here, do the same here, do the same here. So after that, I now need to create my service. So I'll just go to my services and create another class. So for this class, I'll call it a book issuance repository. Then I'll borrow what we have under the parent service. So I'm going to copy that so that we go fast. Then under the book repository, I'll just paste this. Then I'll make modifications. So it's implementing iBook issuance. Then here I'll just copy this and have it here. Then now I'll change my models to book issuance. Then I'll have this as a issuance. Then say book issuance history is a. Then I'm going also to have this. Then say book issuance history. So first or default async. Then we need the yearbook issuance history. Save that. Pass here, we get everything. We get book issuance history. But now we need to add. So we want to get the details of the student. We also want to get the details of the class. And we also want to get the details of the book. So that is it. So the next thing is to add this. Sorry. So our get by ID, we need the book issuance model. Then here we'll say book issuance history. Then get first or default. To update as well, you do that. You pass that. Then this is book. Sorry. This is book issuance history. Then you save the changes. So this is fine. So the next thing is to register this to our program.cs. So I'm going to register this as well here. And say this is book issuance. Then our service will be that. Then after that, I want us to import that service to our imports eraser. Just add it here. Then I'm going to say book issuance history. Then I'll say issuance service. Issuance service. So once we have this, let's go to our book issuance list. So here we will get now, let's uncomment. So here we'll now use our service. So we get our service, then we load our data to that, and we loop and add. So you should be able to get the list of our issuance. So then for the add, we should also do the same. You take our service, then pass the object, which is the issuance object. And then once added, we should navigate back to our list. The same thing to our edit eraser page. We should also get the object, that is the data of our issuance history that we want to edit. And we pass the ID, which is here. Then when updating also, we use the issuance service and we pass our object here. Then we navigate back to the service. So since we have all this well defined, so our list here should be, we can say issuance. So issuance. So edit, and the same should apply to the list here. So you'll just do issuance, edit, then you pass the ID. So since we have that on our add as well, let's see what we appended on our add. So this should be add issuance. So let's go back to our list. We should say add issuance. So this is our root. So after that, we need to add our navigations now to our system. So go back to the library. Then I want us to add now. We'll call it book. We'll call it issue book. So we'll call it, we'll say issue book. So when we say issue book, so we need to navigate to the list of books, the issuance history, I mean. So what is our issuance history navigation? It is issuance history list. So go back to our nav menu, then we have these as our. So after that, we should be able to launch our app and now see what happens. So if we click our application, we should be able to now issue a book. So that is it for this video. So click the subscribe button, like our video, and comment down below. So let's see how the app behaves before we close our today's series. So if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing, like the video, and comment down below. So this is how our app looks like. So if you go to library, we can issue a book. So if you click issue a book, we should be able to get an empty list. So this should not be parents, but so let's just change that. For the issue list, we should say here there is no book. So we should say there is no book issuance history list available. So let's relaunch our app again and see what happens. So for those who are new to this channel, subscribe, like the video, comment down below as we progress with this application. So let's see. So our app is launching. So when we come now here, we say issue book. We are taken to the list of issuance history. We don't have any. So if we click issue new book, yes, you see there is something wrong with our grid. So let's just check how we have done our grid here. So this should be that. Yeah, so this is the challenge here. So this should be closed. That should be that way. This should be that way. That should be that way, and we need to remove this. So after that, let's relaunch our app again. So we should be able to issue a book, and now we'll be doing the next video. We'll be doing what happens if a student returns a book. So let's see if we can issue a book today. So if we do issue a book, then a new issue. There we go. So you're able to select the date. So I'll say 2024. Return date should be maybe 2024. Then class. We don't have a class, but we have students and we have books. So why don't we have the class? Remember, we need to define our system codes. So we'll just say we need to define class. So class, save. Then come to these details. Then I'm going to add some classes. So I'll say class 1. So we'll say class 1. That is a class. We also say class 2. So then we say class 2. And this is a class. We define another class. We say class 3. Class 3. And we should be having a description. And this is a class as well. We should say class 4. We'll also say class 4 here. Then this is also a class. We should also say class 5. Class 5. Then you should say class 5. So I'll define that for now. So if I save it, so we are able to see all the classes. So if we just navigate, then we'll see we have the class 5, class 1 up to 5. So if we go back to the library, we can now issue a class, a book to a class. So we'll say 2024, and they should return in the next month, 2024. Then you can see we now have the classes. So I'll just say class 2, and that is James. But now we'll be going to our cascading drop-down list. When we choose class, we should be able to get all the students in that class. Then we'll choose now the book and say good read. So if I just save issuance, there we go. What is the issue? We have an error with the created by and the created on. Remember, we need to log the activity. So we'll just go to our service. the book issuance. So when you click add, we say mod dot created by, so this should be mod. We'll say we want this is being done by macro code for now. Macro code. Then we also need the created date. They'll say it was created by microcode on which date. So we'll just do here date time, then you say now. So if we do that, let's now launch our app and see what will happen. So if we launch our app, we should be able to now issue a book. So if you're new to this channel, subscribe, comment down below, and let's see how our application will behave. So there you go. So I'll just go to the library issue book. Then I'm going to say issue. Then I'm indicate maybe you're collecting the book on this date, 2024. There's an issue there. I think we'll also try to validate the years. So this is 2024. Then we'll have a date here. They should return it on the next month. Then 2024 as well. Then the class is 3. We choose the student, the book type, Blazor. Then we say good read. So if we save this, we should be able now to save our issuance. You see, we have the issue date, we have the return date, we have the class name, the student who has borrowed the book, and the book name. So if we just add another one, so I'll just do here that way, say 2024. Return date should be maybe in March 2024. Class 5. The student was James Macrocode. The books was a new subscriber. Then you say, please subscribe. So if we do that, then we save. Then we should be able now to see. As you can see, we are now able to issue books to our students. So that is it for today's video. On our next video, we are going to see how we can now take the books back. And we should be able to see that. So if you're new to this channel, subscribe, comment down below, and see you in our next video. Bye.